Let me ask you something. When you picture an ancient human, what do you see? Dirty, tangled hair, bad teeth, smelling like a cave fire. That image is so burned into our heads that we never stop to question it. But here's the thing. The archaeological evidence tells a very different story. Ancient humans were not the unwashed, unbothered mess we imagine. In many ways, they were more deliberate about their appearance and hygiene than we give them credit for. And some of the evidence is going to genuinely surprise you. By the way, no AI here. This video is the result of days of research. I know a lot of channels do it differently. This one doesn't. Just wanted to be upfront with you. Let's start with the most unexpected place. Their teeth. Here's a fact that sounds completely backwards. Hunter-gatherers, people with no toothbrushes, no floss, no toothpaste, no dentist, had significantly healthier teeth than modern humans. A research team at the Australian Centre for Ancient DNA analyzed calcified plaque from 34 prehistoric human skeletons, tracing oral bacteria across thousands of years of human history. What they found was striking. Mesolithic hunter-gatherers living on a meat, vegetable, and nut-based diet had almost no cavities, almost no gum disease, and a much more diverse and resilient bacterial environment in their mouths than we have today. Alan Cooper, the director of the research team, put it simply. Hunter-gatherers had really good teeth, and things only started going wrong when farming arrived. As soon as grain and carbohydrates entered the diet, cavity-causing bacteria exploded. The Industrial Revolution made it even worse, adding processed sugar and refined flour to the mix. So the irony is that modern humans, with all of our dental technology, have significantly worse teeth than ancestors who never owned a toothbrush. But did ancient humans actually try to clean their teeth? Yes, and the evidence goes back much further than anyone expected. A Neanderthal tooth found in a cave in Poland, dating back roughly 46,000 years, shows a clear spindle-shaped groove on the side of the tooth, a signature left by repeated toothpick use. Researchers concluded that the owner, a male Neanderthal in his 30s, had been regularly cleaning the gap between two teeth with some kind of thin, pointed tool, probably a piece of bone or a sharpened twig. This wasn't a one-time thing. The groove was deep enough to have formed over a long period of regular use. And it wasn't just Neanderthals. Similar toothpick grooves have been documented across prehistoric human skeletons from all over Europe and the Near East. Going back to some of the earliest members of the genus Homo, archaeologists have also found what they believe to be the oldest evidence of dental treatment. A 14,000-year-old tooth from Italy showing clear signs that someone used a sharp flint tool to scrape and lever out decayed tissue from a cavity. No anesthesia, no dental chair, just someone deciding that a bad tooth needed to be dealt with and doing something about it. That's not someone who didn't care about their teeth. Now let's talk about skincare, because this is where things get really interesting. In 2011, archaeologists announced the discovery of 2 abalone shells at Blombos Cave in South Africa. Inside those shells was a mixture of red ochre, charcoal, ground bone, and fat, a paint-like substance, carefully prepared, mixed, and stored. The shells date to approximately 100,000 years ago. This is now considered the oldest known cosmetics workshop in human history. Researchers believe this ochre mixture was used for multiple purposes: body decoration, symbolic marking, and critically, skin protection. Ochre contains iron oxide, which functions as a natural sunscreen. It also has antibacterial properties, so these people weren't just painting themselves for fun, they may have been protecting themselves from the sun and from infection at the same time. The cosmetic and the practical, both at once. And this wasn't limited to one location or one period. Red ochre use by humans dates back at least 250,000 years, spanning multiple species and every continent where early humans lived. It's one of the most consistent behaviors in the entire archaeological record of our genus, which means for 250,000 years, humans were deliberately preparing and applying pigment to their bodies. That is not random behavior. That is a grooming routine. Now let's talk about hair, because ancient Egyptians, who we often think of as the first civilization to really care about appearance, were actually paranoid about one specific thing: lice. And their solution was sophisticated enough to surprise modern researchers. Archaeologists have found double-sided combs from ancient Egypt, dating back to at least 3400 BC, with fine teeth on one side and wider teeth on the other. The wide side straightened and styled the hair. The fine side was designed specifically to remove lice and their eggs. Some high-ranking Egyptians shaved their heads entirely and wore wigs made of human hair or plant fibers, partly for aesthetics, but partly to avoid lice altogether, and the wigs themselves were maintained and styled with careful attention to detail. So what we think of as ancient people not caring how they looked is almost exactly the opposite of what the evidence shows. Ancient Egyptians also produced what are essentially the world's first commercial cosmetics. Women and men both used kohl eyeliner, made from ground minerals, to darken the eyes. This wasn't purely decorative either. Ancient Egyptian kohl contained lead-based compounds that were later found to reduce eye infections. The eyeliner protected against bacteria. Archaeologists have also found makeup kits buried with noble women dating to around 4000 BC, containing palettes for grinding pigments, applicators, and small containers for different preparations. These were buried with them because the Egyptians believed you needed to look good even after death. And the Sumerians, the civilization we know, invented writing, were producing manufactured cosmetic products as far back as 3200 BC. Women in Mesopotamia were grinding, mixing, and blending cosmetic preparations in workshops. Some of the earliest written texts in human history include medical and cosmetic recipes, describing preparations for skin, hair, and eyes. So let's come back to where we started, the dirty, tangled, unkempt image of ancient humans. Where did that come from? Mostly from assumptions, not from the evidence, because what the evidence actually shows is a species that spent 250,000 years finding ways to protect its skin from the sun, that cleaned its teeth with carved tools, that designed double-sided combs to maintain its hair, that buried cosmetic kits in the graves of the dead. These weren't people who stumbled through life unbothered by their appearance. These were people who cared, just with different tools. So I'll leave you with this thought. If you looked at what a modern human carries in their bathroom, someone far in the future might think, look at how obsessed these people were with their appearance. And they wouldn't be wrong, but they wouldn't be the first. Let me know in the comments, which part surprised you the most? I'm genuinely curious. See you in the next one. Bye.